See, last week we read about the most significant, powerful, godly event in history when God comes down to Mount Sinai and all the people, all 2 million and some people, hear God speak. I mean, there's nothing more heavenly, divine, awesome. Now, a week later, we're reading the next portion of the Torah, and it gets into some very practical, detailed, graphic descriptions of mitzvahs. Here's how you do, here's how you behave. But of all the mitzvahs, we know that there are 3 different kinds. There's the mitzvah that is completely mysterious. It doesn't seem to have any physical benefit or worldly benefit. Those are called statutes. They're what God wants, what gives God pleasure or displeasure. And that's why it exists, and that's what it means. And whether it does anything for us or not is really beside the point. Then there are those commandments that commemorate or memorialize an event, like eating matzah on Pesach because we came out of Egypt, celebrating the day that the Torah was given. It's an anniversary. God commands us to remember those events. Now, if he hadn't asked us to do it, we wouldn't necessarily. But once he asks us, it kind of makes sense. And it feels useful. It works for us to remember where we came from and what happened and when it happened, where it happened. So those are called commemorative mitzvahs. Then there's a third category, which are commandments that human beings would probably do by themselves, even if God hadn't asked, like honoring your mother. There's a certain natural modesty that human beings have without being commanded, because it's so obviously beneficial. So look what happens. After the event at Sinai, the mitzvahs that God chooses to mention immediately following Mount Sinai are the mitzvahs that make the most sense, that are very practical, and human beings would probably do them on their own. What we're being shown, what we're being told here is the highest, the most mind-blowing experiences are meant to bring God down to earth, not to make you mystics, not to increase the mystery of God in the world, but to make God more familiar to the world in everyday life. So right after the event at Sinai, God says, the way you treat your mother matters to me. The way your scales work, honest scales, they matter to me. All of these things that even if you would do it yourself on your own, I need to tell you how much they matter to me, so that even when you do the most common and the most sensible things, consider God's investment and God's interest in those activities. So when you're eating, for example, of course you would eat even if God didn't command it, but you have the awareness that the only reason anyone eats is because God designed human beings that way. So we don't eat without God. Even our eating can be godly.
We have a Sunday night program for VIPs that you might be interested in. It's informal, it's questions and answers, it's conversation. It's really relaxed, it's really pleasant, enjoyable, informative, and kind of community-like. It's a Sunday night program, there's a Wednesday morning program for the VIPs, and there's a Wednesday night program. All of it just conversation, casual, laid-back, unscripted. So join us, take a look, click the link below, and see which of the 3 suits you best, and join us for some enjoyable conversation.